afternoon, everybody. This is Ramon B. Newis Jr., and on my left-hand side, or your right, I have Zeb Green with me, and on my right, I have the famous Ted Rubin. You know, it's funny, right? Because I have not interviewed you, and I've been for how long? Like a year now, maybe 2 years.
At least, and you keep threatening. But until now, it just never happened.
Never happened.
Probably if I wasn't walking by and saw you out here with the camera and the mic and jumped in and said, interview me,
that
might not have happened.
It's true. It's true. It really is. And it's funny. All right, so we're actually here. Thank you very much to Epi Ludwig and Ludwig and Partners. We're actually here in their space, their HQ in New York City, recording the show. So Epi, thank you very much, and really appreciate it. We're sitting on these beautiful couches here. So you are now CMO of Collective Bias.
Well, technically, CSMO.
CSMO.
Chief Social Marketing Officer.
Okay, so let's just start with two questions then. So what is a CSMO, and then what does Collective Bias do?
Well, very simply, a CSMO is a Chief Social Marketing Officer.
Okay.
So my focus is on all aspects of social marketing versus what a lot of CMOs have to focus on, which have to do with general marketing programs, you know, everything from digital to print, to search and affiliate marketing, and just everything else that goes into that.
Okay. And what does Collective Bias do for a living?
Collective Bias is a shopper media company. We help create and analyze the path to purchase for consumers through social media and through the blogging community. We also create media around the shopping process for companies, so really directly focused on shopper media and shopper marketing, the same way a shopper advertising firm is, except in the social sphere. And the most important part of Collective Bias is our community called Social Fabric, which is a private invitation only, or you need to apply and ask to be a part of it, for bloggers. The bloggers are vetted before they come in, but this is not about the size of their audience, it's more about their engagement and interaction. So, you know, we don't necessarily want to be like Blogger, where you and I could sit here, make up the name of a blog, not even have it, apply and become, you know, Blogger member 12,001. We want people that have actual followings, that are engaged with those followings, that are active, and then it's a self-selected community, where we do not reach out the way I might with other companies or other agencies, where they're interested in doing a project and the brand says they need 50 bloggers. We present what we're doing, and it takes place within the community, and then bloggers raise their hand and say, that's something I'm interested in, I'd like to be a part of.
Oh, very cool.
And to give it just a little bit more base around it, the Social Fabric community, within Social Fabric, communities are started in 3 ways, basically. One is we might start them because either we have a client or we have something we think we might be interested in the future. A client will come in and say, I want to talk about hospitality, or I want to talk about entertainment, or something more specific. But the majority of the communities are started by the bloggers themselves, about topics that they're interested in. So there's constantly flowing conversation and media and engagement and interaction.
Now, and who nurtures this community? Is it employees of Collective Bias, or the community itself is nurturing itself?
It's both. We have community managers. Courtney Velasquez, who is Detroit Mommies, is our overall community manager for everything that we're doing. Then we have other bloggers who are either brought in as official community managers within certain environments, or, as you stated, people that are members because, again, they're vetted, we know them, and they get involved very often with Collective Bias. They also monitor the community, add to the community, come up with suggestions, and get involved in it on a day-to-day basis.
So cool. And I know you're beyond voracious about engagement. That is your thing. And a couple of days ago, I would say Google Plus something. One of your presentation at the 140 conference, where you mentioned that someone asked Gary Vaynerchuk, you know, who's going to win? Is it Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Plus, whatever? And he said, listen, who cares? What's the big difference? Platform is their tools. What we should really be caring about is engagement with your consumer, engagement with your customer. Why is that such a passion for you?
Well, first of all, just to reiterate that question and answer, is that it's not about the platforms, and it really doesn't matter who wins. It's like going to a club. There's a hot club. That's where you go. Does anybody really care when that club closes? No, they move on to the next one. Or the same thing for any hangout in a town or a place. If those platforms were to shut down and no more were to surface, then it might be a little bit more about the platform than about the community. But this is about relationships, and I'm passionate about it because I believe, and I have for way before this era of social has come about. And I say that because this is social media platforms, but social is what we're all about as human beings. Is that it's all about relationships. And what I talk about a little bit is return on relationship, where some people might say, oh, relationships, who cares, and I'll do what I want. But in the end, it's really what affects you as an individual, as a company, as a brand. How do you manage that and the value that it brings? And I was having a debate the other day on a blog post I posted on Zuberix.com, and it was there was somebody jumping in saying, oh, this nonsense about relationships, there's no empirical data, I can show you data that shows, and one of the responses that I didn't even have to bring up, that one of the rest of the audience, and just like any place in the community, people, is like, give me a break. Like, his comment was, you clearly know nothing about marketing and human beings if you don't know that everybody would prefer to do business with someone they like, with someone that they know a little bit, with someone they feel is listening to them. Granted, it might be a little bit more hard to measure the uplift in that, but just by natural common sense and by observing people every day, it's very clear that makes a difference. So yes, there might be a hot restaurant or a hot platform or a hot company where people are running to them because, oh my God, it's the place to be, but does it last? It doesn't unless they treat people right. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to wake up the marketing world to the fact that this was less important back in time, because it was much harder to do. You could justify by saying, oh my God, how can I build relationships? I can't have a party every week. I can't open up the Madison Square Garden and bring people. Yeah, sure. How many people can I actually speak to if I were to pick up the phone? But now there's no excuse. There are these scale platforms where people are living in them, where we can communicate with people en masse, but communicate, not broadcast, but get our back and forth. And more importantly, because people fail to recognize this sometimes, it's not just about the people you are communicating with. It's about the people that are watching you communicate. So I might not communicate directly with you, Zeb, but if you see me have a great relationship with Ramon, you're gonna say, oh my God, he's a great guy. Look at this. Every time Ramon calls him, he calls him back. He shows up. I've never had my own personal experience with him, but that guy, Ted Rubin, I know, or that customer, or that brand, I know that they did right by my friend. So when you can see that, and I'm going on a little bit here, but I want to take this into another level because you guys know I'm very active on Twitter, and I'm going to talk about it more specifically because a lot of it lends itself to Facebook and Google Plus as well. I think more so on Twitter right now, but there are certain certain algorithms that prevent you from doing things or following too many people when you don't have follow backs. So there's all this talk about unfollowing people that aren't relevant, or unfollowing people who are not using Twitter, or people who do not think of using Twitter. Now, the way that measurement is done is people will tell you all the time, and I am so firmly against this, and I hear it on a regular basis, that there are these tools that can show you people that haven't been active for a certain period of time. Unfollow them. You don't even need them. And who cares if they unfollow you because they're not even active? And I say that is so wrong. Okay. And the reason I say that is I believe, and I think the evidence kind of proves it out, is that, and the evidence I'll get into in a second, is that the majority of people who are making use of Twitter are not tweeting. They are searching. They are lurking, they are listening, they are watching, and when I say that you can prove this out, is you can look at the search stats on Twitter. So the search stats are way out of whack with what other people are saying are the actual users of Twitter.
But there's a question: Why do you think people do that? Why, if I have this tool and I know it annoys me to no end also, I don't understand why people actually do that. If someone's not following me for the past 4 or 5 days, or someone's not engaged with me for the past 4 or 5 days, I'm just going to drop them. To me, that makes no sense.
Okay, so the question you're asking is not why do people just lurk and not participate. You're asking the question of why do people want to drop people that aren't.
Yeah, I don't even care about the lurking.
Well, I think
why do people drop?
Going beyond what you just said, it's not about 4 or 5 days. It's about what they believe is an activity. It's them misunderstanding the medium and the platform instead of them. If those people truly were inactive, and you could be sure of that, I see no problem with unfollowing. And the only reason, again, they're saying they do it is because then it makes room for you to follow more people. So that's the major reason. This has nothing to do with, you're right, and it's one of the reasons I say, when people say, why do you follow so many people? I'm like, what's the difference? You know, because some people really follow their feed. So what I do, I just have a separate Twitter account where I only have the 5 people whose feeds I want to follow all day long.
Right.
Or I make lists, or there's a million other ways to go around this.
Yeah.
So, but the point is I believe a very valuable percentage of those quote-unquote inactive people are actually active.
Right.
They're just not participating in the conversation.
Right.
Now, they're not participating in that conversation. That doesn't mean they're not talking to friends, but don't remember something. Social goes well beyond the platforms.
Right.
It goes to your country club, to your shopping trip, to your mommy and me class, to every other place you're at, because that is word of mouth, and that's traditional word of mouth, which is really what social is a Kickstarter for.
Sure.
And you certainly don't want to downplay the value of that. So now, even if someone tells me, oh, I'm sure 90% of those people actually get, great, which 90?
Right.
How do you know which of the 10% that are live? So why get rid of them when it's not costing anything? It's like having a TV broadcast, and it's about moms. It's totally about moms, and not about staying home, not about taking care of your kids. It's about being a woman and being a mom. Would the broadcaster not want Ramon to watch? Would they want to knock him out? No, of course not.
Right.
Because first of all, if it's on in the house and he has it on, his wife might see it, someone else might see it. Second of all,
I might tell my wife about it.
and the other part of this goes towards when people say to me, well, why do you follow back or pay attention to those people in Indonesia or those people in India? Well, first of all, go check their followings. And what you're going to find out is a vast majority of them, their followers are here in the United States or North America. Okay, that's number one. Number two is, why not?
Exactly.
Even if only 5% of their following is people that are relevant to you, you don't know where in the social graph that's going to touch them. Now, we're not paying for that extra follower. It's not costing us anything. It's not part of our ROI equation. So why not use ROR, return on relationship, and make value out of that?
I completely agree. Yeah. I just never understood why people actually. I mean, I understand the whole. There's an algorithm that Twitter uses. You know, you percentage of followers to
Well,
followings.
also, I think also it just goes towards the whole. You know, if someone's not paying attention, if someone's not active, why even have them there? I agree with you. I don't get it.
I don't really care, because to me, you know, I have a couple of thousand on either side, and because I guess I have a couple of thousand, I can add as many people as I want, and I don't care. If you follow me, I'll follow you back.
But if they happen to look once, I mean, people say, why do people advertise on TV anymore? There's DVRs.
Right.
First of all, there's a few reasons for that. Now, granted, it does have to go into the equation when you're figuring out the value of your audience. So I guarantee you out there, and I'm not involved in that kind of measurement, but the people who are reviewing Nielsen data and everything else are factoring that in to their case.
Right.
But the bottom line is, it's still on there. You still have a chance to see it, even when, I got to tell you, I certainly will fast forward through that sometimes. But you know what? When I see something that looks kind of cool, I stop.
Oh, you just not.
Oh, man, what's the Tostitos guy?
But now it's the minority though. Now I know. Just speak for me. I will just blow right through it unless I see a commercial that I really like.
But here's the point: you are not the average target audience of major brands in this country.
Probably not.
And the real key, let's look at marketing 101.
Right.
And by the way, most marketers totally forget their early market. It's almost a pity that the early marketing courses are given early.
Right.
They should be a requirement that when you're getting your MBA in marketing, you've got to take marketing 101 again before you can graduate and pass it. Because most marketers out there forget basic reach and frequency importance, which is the basis of marketing, and then they forget about you're selling to your audience, not to yourself.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I can't tell you today how many meetings I sit in where people go, oh, I would never watch that. Well, guess what? Excuse me? I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Gary, you listening? Okay?
That's right.
Because you're not my market.
Right.
I'm selling to middle-aged women in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I'm not selling to you here in New York City or to you who's making $200,000 a year. I mean, one of my favorite movies, but my favorite scene from the movie is Big with Tom Hanks.
Right.
Now, most people will talk about the movie in FAO. I mean, the scene in FAO Schwartz. My favorite scene is in the marketing research meeting when the sales guy is presenting all the stats on the new toy.
Right.
And Tom Hanks is sitting there going, and they're going, and this is going to sell through, and mom and dad's love it, and Tom Hanks sitting there, and they're going, what's the matter? He goes, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's looking at it from a kid's perspective.
Right.
And he goes, this isn't fun. What are you talking about? It's fun, it's educational. But they're not looking at their target market.
Right.
So they're interviewing the wrong people, and I think that goes a lot to what happens today. And when things like this happen, where somebody starts saying it, and then you get one, guru who says it or something, and I have to say it here because I say it all the time. I'm not a guru, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy with opinions, and I'm not afraid to voice them, and I'm not afraid to try things.
Right.
Experiment, experiment, experiment. That's the beauty of this medium, because you can try stuff like that. You can find out quickly whether you're getting results. I mean, I can't believe again how many marketers I talk to and they go, well, you're not. Why'd you put that tweet out? It's not relevant to our audience. Really? Do you know what's relevant to your audience on social? You might have a really good handle on what's relevant to your audience in your store. Probably not, but you might think you do. But let's say the best marketers, and there's a lot of them out there. They do know. They know what's relevant in the store. They know what's relevant to traditional. They know what's relevant in the customer service lines, maybe. But they haven't even tried social, realizing this is a whole different medium. There's a different person there. They're listening in a different way. They're behaving in a different way.
So is market
test.
It's less target because you don't know where the target is moving.
And you don't know what they really want to hear about. And not only that, it evolves very quickly. So what works this week might not work next week.
So
and thank God we're not locked in.
Do you think social is actually working? Do you think, I guess I'll call it old marketing? Is old marketing listening to some people like you, or listening to the new level of marketing, saying, listen, you got to stop doing it this way. You got to start listening and engaging and being on those social networking platforms where your customers may or may not be.
I want to make something really clear, and this is really important. Okay, I want to make sure I'm making my point on this. Social is incredibly valuable. We've got to leverage it. We've got to use it correctly, but don't walk away from your traditional marketing. It's way too important. I mean, this is not drop that, move to this.
Exactly. It's complementary.
Okay, it's complementary, but you have to weave it into what you're doing. And the other problem is most companies that are doing it out there well, and there's a lot of them, are using social well as a traditional marketing tool. They are doing campaign initiative-based social. Great stuff. I love it, but it's not the real power of social. It's part of it. And it's only a small part of it, because that's just another tool in your marketing toolbox. It goes in with your search and your TV buys and your print and your event marketing and all the other shit you're doing. But then it just becomes another tool. It's not being integrated into the whole scheme of the company, so that you're understanding it. Now, I'll give you perfect examples, and I won't name specific campaigns. But there's all these companies out there. They do an amazing social campaign. It resounds with people. They feel good about it. It gets out there. And then all those people that opted into that program or did something, it's just forgotten. They move on, especially the influence. I mean, the blogging community is the power of social media. I'm going to say that again, okay? Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, platforms, fabulous. Instagram, Pinterest, all these other things coming up. You notice there's a few I didn't mention. And Google Plus, hopefully, we'll get there, and I love the tools that are available on it, and I'll tell you why I hate it, and when I hate it, it's not that I hate Google Plus. I hate where it's going to take me. But what's really, really important is continuity. Keeping that conversation going. Recognizing that you just opened a door. Don't close the door. Keep it open. Let it keep flowing. And that's the biggest mistake that's being made today, and it's being promoted by the agencies. Why? Because it's easy. And what do agencies do? They take easy business. So, going back to what we're doing at Collective Bias, we don't consider ourselves an agency. And it's not just because we don't necessarily like the word agency. We really are evolving into a media company. Right now, we're probably doing 80% of our business kind of in an agency format. We're working with brands, we're helping them out, 20% in a media format, but our goal is to be an 80% media business and to build relationships. And even what we are doing, and even when there are some campaign initiatives, and hey, we have clients, this is what they want, we let it live within our social fabric community. So even if they let it go away, it really never goes away. And when they go, oh my God, I can't believe let it go away, we go, guess what, it's still here. Let's engage.
Okay. So just to start wrapping it up, G+, you mentioned it. You and I have had discussions about this, and give me your
Well, first of all, what I want to say is thank you, Ramon, because it was you gave me a lot of my initial perspective on it when I wasn't having time to wrap my arms around it, and I knew you were digging in. And then I'll say thanks to Chris Brogan, because he put on a fabulous webinar, and for $47. I probably got $47,000 worth of value. And what amazed me is that there were people out there complaining, there were 1,000 people on that. Chris made $47,000. Why shouldn't he? He took time out of his day to help people like people that totally don't get it, and people like me who didn't have time, and I was able to actually keep working, put the webinar on, multitask, and pick up a lot of the bits and pieces I needed. And then when there was something that I didn't quite catch, I reached out to Chris after the webinar.
And guess what? If you don't want to pay the $47, then don't pay it.
Then don't.
Right.
But to me, $47, it was like an absolute no-brainer. And I got to tell you, I got tremendous value out of it. And then when I had an issue after, Chris answered it. And then after he answered it, and I laughed and said, Chris, you know, you're forgetting who you're talking to. Marketing, I'll go toe-to-toe with you.
Right.
Technology, don't have a freaking clue.
Right.
Can you please walk me through how to do this?
Right.
And he gave me step-by-step instructions.
Cool, very nice.
With a little ha-ha.
That's awesome.
But here's my issue with Google+.
Sure. And let me preface saying that it is a beta.
No, but that's not where my issues are
Okay,
going.
all right.
So
All
let
right.
me talk.
Okay.
My issues have nothing to do with the functionality or how it works. My issues have to do with it's too good. In that I believe Google Plus is where social is going. Whether it's Google Plus that ends up doing it, whether Facebook ends up picking up the slack, whether somebody new and improved comes along. And what I mean by that is it's going into this whole concept of segmentation. Now the reason it bothers me, and I'm scared of it, is because I don't have time for that segmentation. And it also has to do with whether we really, I believe we will get there. I just don't know how soon. It might happen tomorrow. People might open up the flood door. But here's my problem. I'm a really busy guy. I'm doing a million different things, as we all are. Whether it's moms or dads or kids. I mean, kids are overscheduled. I mean, all the stuff we have on our plates and all the platforms we can communicate in. And we've had this beautiful advantage. We've built these huge audiences. And I like to call them an asset, not an audience. And friends and relationships. And it's acceptable to send out all your stuff to everybody.
Yep.
So I go on Twitter, I go on Facebook, and I say that, you know, oh my God, I'm having an issue with my 16-year-old daughter, so I can be a divorced dad. And then at the same time I can say, oh my God, you know, I can't believe that this client or this brand doesn't get this. And I can put all this out there, and the people self-filter.
Right.
So they pay attention or they don't pay attention. What's happening with Google Plus is now we're being given the tools. And I know some of them existed on Facebook, but they really weren't easy to use or understandable. But now, very clearly, we're given these tools called circles in Google. And what's going to happen is now we've got to start segmenting. And I liken it to the real world where we don't have time. We don't have time to make every phone call or see all our friends. And I don't know, I'm a big Seinfeld fan. And there's this great episode in Seinfeld where worlds colliding. And George's going, worlds can't collide! I doesn't want his girlfriend to meet his basic friends because everything's going to blow up.
Right.
So he's forced to keep them separate. And that's what we do in our real world. We have our friends at our gym. And sure, there are some of us like me, because I am a socializer, I'm a relationship guy, and I try to bring all my friends together, but it doesn't always work. And it's not as accepted. And there's people who will move out from that group because they want to keep their tennis friends and their school friends and their mommy friends and their business friends. So the answer I get a lot is, well, that's no problem, because on Google Plus you can send out to everybody. But it's not going to be acceptable for very long.
Right.
At some point, people are going to push back and go, I don't want to hear about this bullshit. Get me the heck, stop. And they're going to get angry. The same way people got upset when there were tweeters out there that started posting all their tweets to Facebook. And it was just taking up people's entire feeds because they were active tweeters. And people learned, you don't do that. Unless you're an occasional poster, you take them out. So what's going to happen on Google Plus, I believe, is people are going to start pushing back and saying, stop broadcasting. Stop sending out to everybody. I just want to hear about what's important for my circle. And what's that going to do? That's going to create a lot more work for all of us. Because then I'm going to have to think, you know what? I am going to do my Ramon circle. Should I include my Zev circle? Or, you know, Zev introduced me to all these really cool people that are his friends that observe the Sabbath. Are they going to want to hear about, oh my God, I can't do them because they don't want to receive something on Shabbat? And then the moms are going to push back. And then now we're going to have to start really spending time. Who do we send it to? And writing different messages for every group. And then if we want to be active, like I pride myself on being very responsive, very active. To do that, I'm going to have to publish in all different formats. And that scares me.
Yeah.
I don't have the time for it.
I was thinking about that today. I was saying, I was publishing something, and then you have that option, public and whatever. I was saying, how am I going to pigeonhole people into sending something out? Because it may appeal, just because someone is a photographer or a musician, something I think maybe they like politics, maybe they like technology, maybe, how do I know?
And,
So how am I gonna
and that's another side to it. Like maybe you're leaving people out of a conversation they'd like to be a part of.
Exactly.
So in some ways, I'd love to see Google succeed. I've always been a Google fan anyway, but you know, it's nice to see somebody put Facebook a little bit in their place. You know, and I've stated, and I think we've had this conversation, I think Google has a huge opportunity here to be the good guy. They're leveraging it now. They're asking the community what they want. in my personal opinion, once they own the community, they'll shut it down, and they'll take back that nice guy, and they'll start doing everything they want to do the same way Facebook does, because it's just what tends to happen. Hopefully they won't. But in some ways, I hope it doesn't work, because I don't want all that segmentation.
Yeah,
That's tough. It really is.
That's the scary part, because whether or not, because right now you can't see someone else's circles. So as long as that barrier exists, you can't opt in to the circle that you're part of. That'll be difficult.
So I don't know, and this might exist in Google Plus because I haven't analyzed it, but maybe there'll be a place where we can put it out, but people opt in for what they want to hear, or they go to your thing and say they want to see that part. Like on my blog, I have a divorced dad section. Now, my blog is about, mostly as you know, I publish about marketing and social marketing. And yes, I do make it my featured post usually when I do it, but basically if you want to find it, you go to that section. And if you're not interested in it, you go to the other sections. So, maybe it will go in that direction.
Tagging now.
But then again, but then you also lose your power for Zeb to say, I never would have gone to that cars section, but that's really cool about those hybrid cars. So, I guess we're going to see how it evolves.
Yeah, that's the power of Twitter. That we were talking about that 2 nights ago on the show about that. That you're sending out basically any tweet, but it could be relevant to anyone, and that's kind of the power of Twitter. Whereas Facebook, and if Facebook self-regulates itself, you don't even know if it's going to hit on them all. And with Google Plus,
and I like the search capabilities with Twitter also. So if I want to read about something, I can go in there with a topic, and then I can really find everything I want. Which I don't think I can do that on Facebook either.
Right.
Facebook, I don't think you can.
No.
But Google Plus, you definitely can.
Right.
It's not available yet.
Now, my guess is on Google Plus it will be available because it's Google.
Absolutely.
And obviously they have the search capabilities to do everything they want.
Right.
And then the other part about Google is, and the reason I think it will end up, if it reaches critical mass, which it probably will, but let's leave that to be said, it will definitely take off because they own the search, and there's not a brand or anybody who wants attention. And I don't care how much they say they're not going to favor their own platform. Of course they are.
And Zeb and I were discussing this today. I was making a platform move from our business, and we've opted to use all Google tools now.
Right.
Using YouTube, using G+, using Picasa, and using them all. And not only are they inexpensive, but like you just said, it's just so powerful. So they favor themselves. It's
so
their
powerful.
platform.
Now
it makes everything so much easier to work with.
You know that there's a war room right now at Facebook.
Oh yeah.
That is just strictly it's all black. It's probably got lead around it.
Yeah.
And they are right now figuring out what they can do to combat this.
Right. And Zuckerberg is throwing crap across the room.
That's right.
And look, it's also an ego thing. And it's one of the reasons I think that Google will succeed is because they don't need to make money. They don't have VCs behind them saying pivot, pivot. How do you love that word pivot? I mean, everybody's fucking pivoting. But Google's not going to have to pivot because they can maintain this indefinitely with the cash crop they have.
Yeah, I made a kind of weird move. I think a lot of people are doing it, but I replaced my profile avatar with a Google Plus picture, and I put that on every platform to kind of drive back to Google Plus. So I don't know how.
Okay, well, I'm not there.
I don't know if they're going to.
And you know, my platform of preference is Twitter. I just love the communication capabilities there. I find Google way too confusing for that.
Yeah.
So and I'm not that smart a guy. I mean, honestly, like I get marketing, the whole technology and all that stuff gets me a little crazy, and I just, even though I get Google now, I haven't figured it out as far as what's the best way to use it. Every time I get something or I want to find something, I go in there and I'm confused.
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough too, right? Because at least for right now, there is no native way to post something in G Plus and then it be pushed out to multiple platforms.
Right.
I mean, there are hacks which I use to actually do that, but it's not but it's not mainstream. It's not part of Google Plus. It's not sanctioned by Google Plus, so it's also very, very different.
All right. Plus, anyway, who wants to be in Google Plus talking to all guys? I prefer the medium where all the women. I prefer the medium where all the women are. First of all, women are smarter than we are.
Right.
They're more open to suggestion than we are.
Right.
They're easy to converse with than we are.
Right.
And they hold the purse strings.
And they own the purse strings.
80% of the market.
They own all the purse strings. And any of you guys out there that think that you have a say, give me a break. Come on. In the end, even when it's something you're researching, you ask permission.
And on that note, we have to end the show. But, sir, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Always a pleasure.
All right, Zeb, let's have a shake hands.
Nice to see you. Thanks for coming.
All right, guys, thank you so much. This is Zeb.
And by the way, bald guys rule.
Yes, bald guys rule.
I gotta take it off.
I didn't shave today, though, but it still rules.
I have a forehead that's bald.
And again, thank you so much to Epi for letting us have the show here in his offices.
Thank you, Epi.
Epi rules. Ludwig and Partners.
And guys, check out Collective Bias, collectivebias.com, and tedrubin.com, At Ted Rubin, I'm very easy to find. Just use that.
It'll all be down here.
Yeah,
It'll all be down there. Somewhere down here. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take it easy.
You're welcome.
Also, I was going to wear my work buses. Listen to the news.
That's real cute there, salmon. I like that.
Well, thank you. Actually, I like to refer to it as peach.
I'm also going to record.
There's a difference between peach and salmon.
Is there really? What's the difference?
Salmon is a little more pinky.
Pinky.
Yeah.
But it works on you, though. You know what it is? It's the tan. It's the tan. It works on you.
I wanted to get you a little excited.
It's because you Ted Rubin. That's why.
And in here.
Yeah.
You got any booster seats?
Oh.